Okay, we're live. Welcome to a beautiful Tuesday. Um, yeah, this is going to be a packed week. I intentionally packed it with good sisters who are going to join me to unpack and rev up and celebrate. I believe it is the first annual Black Women's Writers Week. So I am not a writer. I am a reader. But I figured I'm gonna bring the writers up in the house. I'm gonna bring my writing sisters close to see if I can get a little bit of perspective. And folks are doing a variety of things, not only with their writing, but helping to guide us as readers, making us um, probably a better analyst of what we are reading, which makes me appreciate the entire writing experience at a deeper level. So, to introduce myself, and then I'm going to let my guest introduce herself. I'm Dee of H&D Abroad. Um, my channel is primarily about our move abroad, but y'all, we are whole people moving our whole selves out of the US or centering travel. And I believe it is that personal development. You guys are seeing the fruits of my personal development because I never joined a book club before, not until Read and Wander. And that is because Yvonne and Keyoka are my fellow Exodus Summit sisters who said, who's interested? Who loves books? You know, I was going to raise my hand for that. And now I have a reading community, a group of women who I'm learning from, laughing with, crying. Maybe we're going to get to a cry book eventually, but we have totally laughed together. And I'm so glad to have one of the creators of the Read and Wander Book Club, Yvonne, and then Keyoka's going to join us shortly.
Hello, I am Yvonne McBride. I am a literary artist, an editor, and host of Yvonne McBride Lit Life. That is my YouTube channel. In my space, we talk about transitioning, Black women transitioning to pursue the life of their dreams, whatever that means for them. As a writer, I've always had a love for books. So I reached out to Keyoka of the Awkward Black Nomad to see if she wanted to form some type of virtual book club. She said yes, and we were off. So that's how we met Dee of H&D Abroad. And we actually thought that it would just be us and maybe a few, five, other people. But yeah, that's how the book club started, Read and Wander. And we've had some great chats. We started, I think, November. I think, or November was our first launch. So yeah, here to talk about our book club, to see if anyone else wants to join and just chat with our sis.
Absolutely. So we are both, I'm saying we, as a member of Read and Wander, we are both on Facebook. It is a Facebook community where we chat, we make suggestions about the upcoming books, and then we have the actual book club. I've never participated in a virtual book club, but my
We
thing
didn't know
is
how we didn't
I'm
even know
not
how
a
to go
texter. I
about it,
don't type
right?
fast.
Yes.
But baby, I be in them chats because I want to comment on what happened and what I thought, and so yeah, so there you host that on your channel, right,
We both
Yvonne?
host. So
Okay,
we alternate month to month.
okay,
Last month when we discussed Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, we hosted on my channel. This month coming up, we'll be hosting on Keyoka's channel, Awkward Black Nomad.
okay.
Hey sis.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, hey.
Hey, lady.
So we are just getting started. This is Keyoka. So, Keyoka, will you introduce yourself as the co founder of Read and Wander Book Club?
Yes. Hi, I'm Keyoka, the co-founder. I'm also the Awkward Black Nomad. I have a YouTube channel and yep, just black girl and out in these streets. I don't know. I'm bad at introducing myself. I'm a Gemini. Um,
He's a
As y'all
millennial.
can tell, it's going to be good today. It's going to be good today. But let's see. So, Yvonne was sharing that she is a writer. Kyoka, you are a writer as well. So, and I didn't get to ask you guys what genre. So,
I'll let her do her intro since I did a little bit of mine.
yeah.
So, like professionally, I'm a copywriter with focus on SEO, but creatively, I write fiction, I write poetry. I've been getting into some travel writing. And yeah, that's it. That's all I want to share.
Okay. Okay.
I am a fiction and a poetry writer. I am freelance writer, focusing on travel writing freelance, and an editor. Yes.
Beautiful.
Editor.
Editor for fiction and only. Fiction only.
Fiction only.
No nonfiction. Yes.
Wow. Have you ever when I was editing, somebody sent me a manuscript that was like it was half written on like a typewriter, half like drawn in, like they wrote. The dude was in prison. So anybody watching this, if you Google my name, you'll see that I was actually an editor for a few years when I was in college. And I can't even think of the book, but I edited this book slash rewrote some of this book from a guy in prison. It's actually really interesting though. But I would, yeah, look that
That
up.
would be a book doctor. You are a book doctor. You are a ghostwriter, book doctor. Yes.
Underpaid ghostwriter slash
That is
editor.
not an editor. That is a book doctor. That's a look it up, Google it. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I've had a lot of those submissions as well. I just send it back. Yeah.
well, what I think Kyoka is also centering in this conversation is everybody's got a story to tell. It may not be your
I
traditional
like how you did
story.
that,
It
Dee.
may
I
not
like how
come
you did it.
from traditional sources.
Yes.
Because I worked for 5 years in corrections as well. I was doing the public health thing, but everybody, trust me, everybody's got a story. And I think what I love is I have kind of found it difficult to identify the Black writers that I want to read with the online version of books. So, instead of being frustrated, you all, I'm calling out Libby. Yes, I am. I'm calling out Hoopla. Yes, I am. Because that is a primary source for me, someone who is neurodivergent and does not read physical books like I used to.
Okay.
Yes. So my primary source is, and I don't want to pay for the other online book sources. And so that in the group, my first question is this an audio book? Is this an audio book so that I know how I'm going to be able to get access to it? I have put myself on book restriction because I know I'm already giving away so many books before we leave. So I don't want to physically buy a book. But from the curating stories perspective, I mean, you guys are writers. So when you are thinking about, do you think about your audience, or are you thinking more about this is the story I want to tell?
So we go ahead. I think about the story I want to tell. We're not once you publish, we're not in charge of like who gets like doing the audio and the print. You publish for print, and then if you go with a traditional publisher, then that's how you get into audio. That's how you think about other forms of how your book is going to get to the audience. So that's number one. But I think about the story that I want to tell, the story that's been haunting me, the story that keeps me up at night, jotting down little notes and trying to put together. That's where the muse comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, if you think about the person on the other end of the story, you'll never finish. Because it'll never be good enough. It'll never be presentable enough. It would be like if someone told you your diary is going to get published, wouldn't you start to write differently?
Right.
I'd be looking for subject verb agreement a lot.
Right.
Right. So no, I don't think about
that. So your inspiration comes from within you, not from the outside in. It comes from inside out. Right. And so you just hope that whatever you have to say, somebody out there relates to it. Somebody Absolutely. Out there identifies with it. And, as Black women, to bring it back to the theme, as Black women, I'm sure whatever, we're not monolithic, but whatever, story you want to write, some person of the diaspora is going to be able to identify with the story, identify with the struggle, identify with the issues, and then, hopefully enjoy what you have to say. So.
Absolutely. When I'm thinking about, the whole idea of where stories come from, because I've read, the group has introduced a wide variety of books. There are books I have struggled with, but because the book club was reading it, for example, the first book we read.
What book have you struggled with, D?
The first book we read, I put it down.
What was the first
and y'all book? Said we reading this book.
Oh,
so I picked it back up.
The Singapore,
yeah, the Singapore book.
But were you struggling because you didn't? Were you struggling to finish because you didn't like it, or?
I struggled with it because I couldn't find a relational piece to it, because that's usually my hook as a reader and that's why I was like, are y'all thinking about me, or y'all thinking about I'm telling the story? So so it should be something that's authentic to you. Hey, Lori Butler. Hey, BP. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have joined, please shout out your favorite books in the chat today. This book club, Read and Wander, is open to Black women. It is on Facebook. It is in the description so that you guys can find this beautiful group of folks reading. But if you've got a book where the main character, I think, why don't we take a minute and talk about who Read and Wander is for? Because then we can get into the book selection and why. So who is Read and Wander for? Because you guys have talked about why the collaboration is beautiful, because you've got the yin and yang of Keyoka and Yvonne.
Well, we haven't talked about that properly, but we haven't talked about that on the live.
Yeah, we never talked about that publicly. So I just have to say, I mentioned earlier that I'm a Gemini. I found out recently that Yvonne is a Taurus, and that makes so much sense because I'm an air sign, she's an earth sign. So like
that balance.
There's balance. And I would say too, she grounds me, because even our last live, I remember you texted me and you were like, I think you should come out and say, I can't remember what it was. You was like, you should come out and say,
the last book. Okay, because Parable. Okay, back it up. Wait. We voted. This is how it goes in the group, right? We were supposed to vote each month. We're supposed to vote, have the members vote on the book. The members voted on the book. I forgot what they voted for, but we voted on the book. Keyoka, then, because everything that was happening, political climate and with Dump in office and all of this, right? She says, with encouragement from someone we won't name, But she says, no, I think we should make Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler the book selection. So I say, well, say it with your chest. I said, say it with your chest. She said, what are your thoughts? I said, it's up to you. She put it out. So she arbitrarily, she changed the book. I thought it was, apropos for the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
I love the book. I was willing to read it, right? But that's why I asked her, well, would you want to introduce, the chat by saying why you thought this was perfect book for us to read now?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
the best.
And I said no.
Even though she made the change.
I said no.
Right.
Because
All I knew is I thought we were reading one book, we were reading another book. I was down with it. I didn't need an explanation. This is how we roll in the group, ladies and gentlemen.
and then this month, y'all didn't even get to vote.
I saw that. I also saw who suggested the book, and I was already saying I'm on board. So
Right.
like
We
I
need
said,
something lighter. What is this?
easy.
What is this month's read? What is it?
The Neighbor Favor by I think Christiana Forrest. But it's called The Neighbor Favor. It's a good read. And
we needed something light.
We needed something light, especially after the Parable. I feel like the Parable got everybody. We was up in arms. Okay, we were ready to storm somebody. storm something. Okay,
We was ready to revolt.
I should drop the link to that live, y'all.
Yes,
I'm
please.
telling you,
it was so good. The chat was wonderful. Yes,
that was lit.
That part. So we were like, when is the discussion? And that is what I love about a book club is I'm not just reading something and then going, ooh, you want somebody that's in that same headspace, that same emotion space that you can talk about different aspects. It's like watching the stories. We're all watching the stories, but like what you honed in on might not be what somebody else honed in on. And they say, oh, go back and take a deeper look. Because if you understand this, then, and that is what I feel like a book club does, even when you don't feel like you have a connection point.
Yeah. Because everybody's going to have a
Being
different.
able to analyze somebody's story together gives you a common vocabulary, gives you something to relate to each other to. BP is asking a question. I don't want to jump all over the place, but I'm neurodivergent. It's okay. They're asking how you guys write. So let's jump back a little bit into your writer headspace. Do you type on a computer or handwrite? I don't even have my typewriter anymore, but that's what I took to college. I'm that old.
You took it to college. Isn't it heavy? In a suitcase?
A word processor.
It had its own case, baby. It had its own case.
Yeah, my grandma had one. Like she used to have an old one, and we gave it away. No. I didn't mean it that way. No, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just.
You can tell who's the millennial. I'm the Gen X. She's the millennial. Did she freeze herself?
Oh my God.
It's all right. We understood. We understand.
Forgiven, if it even needed to be forgiven. But I mean, for real, like, do you start with I'm writing down a concept or using a whiteboard and then I move to a typewriter, or do you write longhand? I mean, I know some folks do that.
Longhand. I brainstorm longhand.
Okay.
So I do my outlines and everything longhand. I start out writing longhand. I
Yes.
have different methods. So you start out with like free writing, right? Brainstorming, free writing, that's all longhand. Once I start to put, especially with fiction,
Yeah.
and with poetry, once I start to put, my thoughts together, then it goes, then I start typing it out. But even then, it's always a back and forth process. Um, I have really, my mind works like in fragments. So it's
Mm.
always back and forth. And then once I have a good amount, like maybe 50 pages, 30 pages, then I print some out, then I map it out on the floor and, do notes. That's for fiction and poetry. For freelance, writing is different, but it usually starts off free writing, longhand.
I'm amazed. I don't do all that. I,
What's your process? What's your process, Keyoka?
so poetry, I probably write longhand, and then fiction, I type it, but I do the thing with storyboarding. So like I'll write that with the pen. And then because you can't replace like just connecting the dots, crossing things
Yeah.
out, thinking
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah. All
a
that
good
has to go on the paper. Right.
yeah, like yeah. Even thinking like even thinking like in terms of like a storyboard, like if you have certain steps that you have to take to get to a certain place, or something needs to happen in the story, to trace it, it's
So when
still
she says storyboard, like that's why I have to print it out to see. I have to do it. I can't. It gets confusing if I try. Like a lot of people can do it on a computer, right? Do their storyboard on a computer. I can't. I have to take it out and
Mhm.
move it around like that, physically. So yeah,
there's
There
that's
are a
programs.
lot of ways to get there. Go ahead, Keyoka. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's programs you can use to do that, but I never like it just it's one of those things, like the old fashioned way works. So why even bother
yeah.
learning something new?
And I actually wish I had my word processor. I wasn't using a typewriter, but I took a word processor to school when I went to college. I actually wish I still had that because computers, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of different.
I don't know what that is. I thought
We'll take you to the Smithsonian.
I thought you meant the program word processor, like the old
Yes,
No,
Lori.
ma'am. No,
Yes,
ma'am.
Lori. Not her mom, her grandma. That's how we getting down tonight.
I had a
Honoring.
young grandma.
She
I had a young grandma though.
she doesn't know what a word processor is. You just heard her. So, and listen. Okay.
We are celebrating the first Black Women's Writers Week. I invited Keyoka and Yvonne to come and talk to us about the beautiful book club that I joined in the fall of last year, where we as a community vote. This is how the process is supposed to go. We vote on the book.
Do we?
We
We
choose.
nominate. Right.
There we go. We nominate a book, and then from those nominations, the founders of the book club make the choice for us. Why did you choose the criteria of the books that we wanted to center? Did you? I think, Keyoka, were you saying that we haven't talked about that out loud before?
Yeah. I think it's sort of been like an unspoken thing between me and
Mhm.
Yvonne. Like I was like, someone asked what the criteria was, and I started typing, and then I was like, we're on the same page, right? She's like, oh yeah, yeah. Because I think we both saw a need to read Black women. I mean, Black people in general, but
Yeah.
specifically Black women writers. And I think also we wanted the book club to be this kind of light space where people can go and have fun, and we read things that are interesting and exciting, that
Mhm.
don't trigger us, right? So it's a fun space where everybody can kind of enjoy what they're reading and then feel comfortable giving feedback on the book. It's
Right.
supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun. Parable was our first serious one, but I reached out when I had the idea. I reached out to Keyoka. Like first of all, I had so many books just sitting. I keep buying books. I got piles of books that I haven't touched, right? That I haven't read. And then I haven't, I was like, I need something to make me read these books. I need to be
Mhm.
accountable, right? I want to read, but life goes past so fast. You know what I mean? I need to create a space where, okay, I do want to read this book. Accountability group per se to say,
Mhm.
we're going to put at least this book on the table so I can, cross some of these books off my list. Was the original plan. Reached out because Keyoka did a book review. I think she did a video about the books that she was reading. I was like, oh, she likes books. Let me reach out. She said yes. And again, I thought it was going to be only us and maybe 5 or 6 more people, talking about the book. We didn't know how, we knew it was going to be virtual, but how do you do a virtual book club, right? Never tried to do it. We didn't know how the discussions was going to be.
Yeah.
This is just learning by, osmosis, like going through the process and picking up, okay, I guess we'll do this. I guess we'll invite people to be guests and co-hosts. So that's how it came about. But it all started because, we wanted to create a space for other people, maybe who like the books, who wanted to create maybe some moments in their chaotic world where they can just, tune everything out and read a book, a light book. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I where I have appreciated is that you guys are open to different genres of books. So, you know, um, Octavia Butler, that book wasn't necessarily, she's Afrofuturism. That wasn't necessarily the centering of that book. It was way too realistic for me to seem. Yeah, we if you all, I did not do that. Our last discussion was on Parable of the Sower, the book written by Octavia Butler 30 years, 40 years ago.
It was published in 95, 94, I think.
Yeah, 30-ish years ago.
That's when it was published.
Yeah. So, you've got someone that was writing 30 years ago, but if someone told you this was the news, it kind of wouldn't be too far-fetched to see that that setting be realistic. But our discussions are usually saved till we have our virtual book club meeting online on YouTube. So they're usually Sunday afternoons. I don't know if we have a particular cadence for them, but we get about 4 to 6 weeks to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. We try to give at
Yeah.
least 4 weeks. Yeah.
And we have strong opinions. I'm just going to leave it at that. We have
It's
strong
like The View. It's like if you have, it's like we all, no one agrees what they read. The perceptions and the takeaways are always different.
Yeah, every time. Especially that book we read, Black Girl in Paris. It was like, and I think part of it is because our group, yes, we're all Black women, but we're all so diverse in our
Yes.
experiences that we're coming at it with the different lens. We always come to the text with like something totally different. Even D, you being able to see the love story in Parable of the Sower, you might have been the only person who saw a love story there, but being able to
appreciated it. Yes,
I appreciate it because we wouldn't have gotten that perspective without you. I think that's what's so great about the book club.
Yes,
absolutely. Okay, so why do we need Black women writers? Why do Black women writers, are we trying to give extra love, or are we saying our stories matter? What's happening with the selection of Black women writers and us sharing our stories? Why I know why it's important to me, but why do you all feel as writers, why is it important?
Oh Lord, I had an ex-boyfriend ask me this question. Oh, Okay, I'll speak from my perspective. So I have been reading white people for my entire academic career. Okay, from start to finish. The course curriculum has been heavy with white writers. Okay. So when I graduated, I was like, no more, unless by choice. Because Stephen King, I always shout my homeboy out, but Papa. But other than that, I was like, I want to read stories by people who look like me,
Mhm.
and it's because I felt almost suffocated by the education system, by not reading enough diverse books, not reading enough. And I wanted to just have a place where I'm not criticized for my perception of something when I'm reading, because a lot of my schooling was that, because I did go to like predominantly white schools. And so I didn't get the opportunity to read books by Black authors, not nearly as much as I wanted to.
Mhm.
Um, and it was sort of positioned to me as, because these writers are not the standard. These writers don't fit into form. You know, there's this idea that you have to learn form to be able to build upon it. But when we think about who I would be getting my form for, because I'm a Black writer, it wouldn't be Shakespeare. It wouldn't be Dickinson. They aren't my foundation because they don't have my story.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So
So
my
I think
story,
you all are you touched a little bit on Lori Butler's question about have you all taken writing workshops or classes? So
Yeah.
Kyoka's what do you call that? Classically prepared, academically. What about you,
I
Yvonne? Are
took
you?
my story is different. I went to a HBCU. Um, so, and I majored, well, first I majored in journalism and then I changed to English education. And most of my teachers were Black women, right? So I was introduced to more writers of color, not even just Black writers, but writers of color. And even before that, like in high school, I had great English teachers. English was my favorite subject. And even though, we did have to read Shakespeare and, other canon books, I did have great teachers, like Mrs. Caldwell. She was a Black woman. She was my CAS English
Come on,
professor.
shout out.
So
Come on
yeah, that
now.
was Miss Caldwell, and she let me. She was my English teacher for 4 years, 9th through 12th. I'm not going. She hooked me up. She hooked me up a lot of times. I was not the perfect gifted student, but she introduced a lot of reading to us that was outside of what we, was the regular canon for it. And at home we had books. So I grew up reading. I was reading Toni Morrison when I was in middle school. So my introduction is different. Um, so I write because those are the stories that I love. Not, you can identify them or not. I read. I write what I like to read. Right.
Hmm.
So and I identify more with, stories about us as Black and brown people. Someone in here said, Isabel. Yeah, that's one of my favorite writers. Um,
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask about that. So that might be good.
yeah,
So I'm going up.
Oh wait, well, while
Um,
you do that, I want to shout out my one Black professor, Dr. Saffold, who taught this course on Black love stories. It was Black love and popular fiction. Oh my God, it was so good.
yes,
That's it.
yes. Shout out to the teachers,
Shout
man.
out to the
Shout out.
teachers.
Yeah, yeah. And just those who are doing it today, who are getting, especially in this world of banned books, right?
oh,
Well, and then I think
And
too,
this
like,
craziness. Go ahead, Keyoka.
well, I think too, like you said something about like reading Toni Morrison in middle school. So like I had access to Black books, but it's because I came from a family of readers. And
Yeah.
like I feel like it's almost like Black history and Black art is behind a paywall. So if you don't have a family that supports those things, you are essentially like, if you don't come from a family of people who own books and who make education like a priority, make reading a priority, you're completely not even seeing this huge aspect of your culture.
Right. Yeah.
I went to an HBCU. It is you catch some things are caught, but there has to be intention.
Mm.
I will admit in a recordable format that it wasn't until bell hooks passed that I
Ah.
learned about bell hooks, and I was mad.
Mm.
What school did you go to?
I did not. At my HBCU,
Yeah.
Oakwood University.
Okay.
So it was, we were church based, so
Okay.
there were books that had a second level of
Gotcha.
filter.
Yeah.
Well,
But
black folk don't really, because bell hooks I would consider like womanist feminist fiction.
I was about to say there
fiction,
was no feminists.
Well,
There
they were
was
teaching it. Look,
Yeah,
shout
not
out to
fiction.
Clark Atlanta University. No, we had something. We had not in the English department, but other departments were reading. They were reading a whole bunch. Polly Giddings, like a whole bunch. Yeah, Clark Atlanta was great. I will say
so
that.
I would almost say we all, whether you're in a book club or not, you have an opportunity to influence a young person at whatever age. I remember my first grown book, The Color Purple, was shared with me by my aunt. And I was like, how do you read this? I had to be maybe 15. And I was like, oh, this
Oh,
is some
you were
work.
triggered.
No, I'm talking about like reading that the way that she wrote.
Okay.
I wasn't used to reading in that way because I went to white elementary, middle, and high school. So I wasn't used to your Zora Neale Hurston,
Right.
kind
Okay.
of writing as people spoke. And
Okay.
it took me a
You had a
minute.
problem with the dialect.
Yes. But what I guess I should say that here. But it made me respect that it sounded like the voices of people in my community. I had never experienced writing touching me in that way. I've been a reader since I was when I say a little girl, like my mom was like, I know you're not in there using the bathroom. I know you in there with a book all night. I'm in the closet with a flashlight.
Turn the light off. Right. Turn the light off and go to bed.
So when I say I'm a lifelong reader, but these books touched me in a new way. And that's why being in a book club, these are books that I might not have picked up. Like I said, I might have put the book down, but I was like, my sisters are reading this. I'm going to want to be in the chat discussing it. So I'm going to read it. Books have opened the world to me. Careers. I had my own Sweet Valley High collection, but I couldn't see myself in those books. These books, when I read Black authors, and specifically Black women authors, and we're writing about our lived experiences, it's more than just the stories. It's feeling validated when people talk about putting grease in their hair, when they talk about the struggles of being at work. That I did the corporate thing, that was probably the Saigon book. That probably I related from that perspective. When you are feeling that your coworker could sabotage you, I related to the book in that way. And feeling like you need to be hyper vigilant and can't let your guard down because of what happened when she went to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And they pulled it and they got some for trying it. So I didn't realize that stories are more than just information about other people's lives. It's also to touch me. So if you guys, I don't know if you all have um, a goal for the group, and please put your questions in the chat, because I want to mention Aileen Brown's comment in just a minute. But if you all have goals for the group, what, as writers, as curators of community, what do you all want us to get out of these reading experiences, this community reading experience?
Well, I want to touch on a point you made about reading The Color Purple. So some books are actually intended to be read in community, right? Because I mean, think about Parable of the Sower. So we all are coming to the conversation with a diverse perspective, right? And then I think sometimes the subject matter might be a little complex to break apart on your own. So being able to talk it out, being able to see things from a different light every time you read it is one of my goals for the community. You know, like I hope people are getting different perspectives. I hope we are encouraging each other to read. But I also hope that the book club serves as a place for us to just kind of lay our burdens down and relax. You know, there's a lot going on outside. And the black folks said we're gonna lay our swords down, lay our shields down. So I want the book club to kind of be a place where not only are we not worrying about what's going on out there, but we're relaxing, we're laughing, we're joking, we'll get on the live, and it just feels like girlfriends chatting, you know?
Yes.
So I want it to be fun.
Agree. And first and foremost, we started it just to be a gathering place, right?
Mm-hmm.
We started it just to have, and it's read and wander. Like we want an international membership, right, of Black and brown women, but Black women specifically, so that we can have a space, a safe place, just to come together with other people who like to read. That was the one point, right, the main point. But also, like Keyoka said, you know, we're not all going to agree. We're not going to always like the book. We're not going to always agree with what we read. It's a different perspectives, but and we focus on fiction. You know, a lot of people, they always nominate, right, self-help or some other nonfiction type of book. But we wanted to just have it be light in fiction. But even in fiction, I love fiction because even if it's a made up story, if the characters are great, if it's a character driven story, you can relate. You can relate to what the character is going through. And I don't read books that are like me. I don't like books that I can predict what's happening next, right? I want to be taken out of my situation, out of myself, to imagine something that I couldn't think of myself, right? To dive into a story, somebody else's narrative, to see, do I connect with this person? Why not? It's always it's an exercise of psychological, you know, test to me, like to see how these people put together, especially in like a writer like Toni Morrison, Octavia, yeah, or Octavia Butler, like a masterful writer. They are always like their characters, even though they're made up. You can say, I know a person like that, even if it's not you. Or they're always going through a situation that you can identify with. So even fiction, you know, is reality based. So to have us as Black women come together and look at these different scenarios to see how these characters, how these protagonists got through their trials, and can we get through our trials like this, or identify how they, you know, problem solved. And it's always you know, something to look forward to and something to take away from. So, you know, I just wanted to be in a group with other women who see this and value this, and just, you know, have a light discussion about it. So
Yeah, little kiki.
yeah, little kiki, little drink. I've been trying to get y'all to drink on these lives. I'm trying to get y'all to drink spirits.
Look, maybe we should have a little list of things. You know, buy our little glasses, so we have all our glasses together. But that is, y'all are just y'all are loving me into new genres. Um, I'm not afraid of the libraries, but the libraries are under attack. So yes, the library, as much as I wanted to buy books, and I bought books from the thrift store, that was kind of my access to building my library growing up, and then building our kids' library, which they weren't, my kids were not as broken up. I'm broke up about having to give their um, letting go of their books. But y'all,
Oh,
I found a Black library that I am donating boxes and boxes
Really?
and boxes of books to. So that's how I'm letting go of my book collection and my kids' book collection, because we put a library, literally a library, in each of their bedrooms. And so from the time they were very small till probably mid-teens, we have books from all of those. And I was like, I don't want to just give them back to the thrift store. I want it to go somewhere. And so we found a Black library that's been struggling to grow their
what
available
area are
book.
you in? Where? That's
I'm in
amazing.
North Alabama.
Okay.
And so they have a book policy, but they were like, as long as the books are in good condition, and meet our criteria. And if they don't meet our library criteria, then they have where they sell books, the Friends of so and so library. And
Right.
if not, there are shelters that they work with, so that in the homes where people are going to, like the safe shelters, that they have books there for families to have access to. That makes me feel good, as someone who is having to transition most of our collections,
Yeah.
since we're moving abroad. Like, that makes me feel good. But the library is a major source and can be a main source, especially when you're wanting to diversify your access. I mentioned two, Hoopla and Libby, that are your quote unquote free access, your no cost access through your public library if you're here in the States. Many library systems give access. I've been able to find some, but y'all, where I stumble is the wait list.
Yeah.
So y'all need to give me the books for the next quarter so that I can get on the list.
We don't know what the books for the next quarter. We got
Barely know.
we barely know what's
But this
next
is
month.
making me say,
Now,
look, let me tell you
oh,
what happens. The Black books, they have one, and then there is
yeah.
a line. Do you know, it took me, I'm still waiting on, um what do you call that? The Body Keeps the Score.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's been a year. I'm still on the wait list.
Wow.
Yes. Um, a lot of the books, it takes months. Oh, the 1619 project, I just got off the list. I just, I waited so long. I just
Easy.
couldn't I was just like, it's not worth it. I'll just pay to get access to the audiobook. They may have had the physical books in the library, but
Oh, you're
that's,
talking about audiobooks. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, but
But
libraries
still, the
now,
libraries, yeah, they do. Because when we had to do Black Girl in Paris, I had to go 45 minutes out to the library that was 45 minutes away to get it. It was only one copy in the whole. We have like 20 libraries in this area. It was one copy. So yeah, it can be and I thought we have five libraries in five predominantly Black neighborhoods here. I was like, oh, it's gonna be easy. Let me just go to the library. No, ma'am. Yeah, it was hard. So
Well, my question is if it's an audiobook, why is there a wait list? That should be just a
license,
download.
they license the books. And so if they don't, um, sometimes they only license a certain number of books, I guess, the cost of
hmm,
them.
Hmm.
So I this is motivating me to go back to my libraries and say, I know that diversity is not necessarily a priority, but please keep bringing them. Please keep bringing them in. We read, I was in another book group. It was just kind of a one time. We read a Black Cake together,
Yeah.
and it took me about 3 months to get that book. And I had 14 days to make sure, top to bottom, I was finished.
Wow.
So, yeah, so our libraries are an important source, and that we should be pushing back. But library funders are pushing back also. Something that's happening at the libraries here in my state is that parents can now restrict what their kids can read. Now, I've been the parent who's wanted to restrict, but this is kind of like parents can ban even when libraries are saying you have access as a
Parents can
consumer.
wait. Parents can ban other. They can ban other children from getting the book at the library.
No, your
Okay.
child's library card can be
Oh,
tailored
okay.
to what you want them to be able to
I
have
got you.
access to.
Okay.
So when they go to check the book out, it'll say this book is not allowed. Their parent has
Hmm.
not allowed them to. And depending on what the genre of the book is designated in the library, I wonder if
Yes.
authors
Yes.
of diverse authors are not.
I'm sure in the states that they're banning books. Yes, that's
Yes.
probably a
I'm sure
thing.
only. I'm
Yeah.
sure if there was a list of all the books that parents wanted to ban, it would be only Black authors or
Or
authors of color.
LBG or the yeah or the
Yeah, or
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ authors. Yeah, queer
Mhm,
authors, I'm sure.
mhm.
They banned the young lady that did the poem for the first
First,
inauguration. They
yeah,
banned her book. I mean, her book. I believe it was her book of poems.
it
And I was
was.
like,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, libraries are an important part
Y'all gonna
of
have y'all
our
kids? Y'all better get
experience.
out the US. I don't know what y'all doing. I don't know what y'all doing with y'all kids, man.
He said, "Y'all
So,
kids, yes,
What y'all
yes."
doing? I don't have to worry about Bernie and Frank. I don't I don't know what y'all doing with y'all kids. If anybody's watching this and you have a kid, what y'all doing?
hey,
Mm.
I'm not waiting on nobody else.
Y'all better find somewhere to go.
I wonder, but that's only in the U.S. So when you leave the U.S., I wonder how other, I'm sure the other libraries are, free reign. Get out
They
in the
are,
U.S.
but they are primarily, even the bookstores, they have a very, very, very small English section. So,
Oh, in the okay, when you leave
yeah.
abroad. Okay, yeah,
I've
that
been
makes
really excited when I see the bookstores, and then when I see and then I cannot travel with books.
right.
It would
Yeah,
be pretty much my
audio.
luggage.
Yeah.
So audio is really my access, to stay true to the Carry On Only Club when I travel.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about the Read and Wander Book Club, about creating communities, about being an author yourselves, an editor, as both of you all have had a variety of experiences in editing, that you want us as readers to grasp as we are appreciating Black women writers this week?
I would say just join the Read and Wander group if you are a reader. We would love for you to join us. We have a good time, as you can see. It's laid back. We are coming together as in this time. We need more opportunities to come together and just
Mhm.
commune with one another. So even if you don't read the book, you just come and chat and make connection. It is great. It's a great meeting space. Um, if you are working on a fiction, um, I would say memoir. If you are working on something and you would like to have some eyes on it. If you are a beginning writer, I am open for a month. I am open for you to, reach out to me on my Instagram, maybe DM Yvonne McBride Lit Life, and I'll look at some pages for you if you are a writer.
So
Yeah,
it's
but mainly just yes, editing is hard work. You always need fresh eyes on that. But other than that, yeah, just come and join us in the Read and Wander writing group, writing group, book club. I wanted to introduce into wanted to go into a writing group. Keyoka said no. She vetoed me. So no, it's not. It will not be a writing group.
because I don't want to deal with people like. Let me
You're
tell you
right.
something.
She's right.
My
But
time
yeah.
as an editor was not enjoyable. Okay, so and I don't respectfully, I don't care about your life story. Okay, there was somebody in my
Fiction
comments,
only. Fiction only. Did I say fiction? Maybe.
fiction
Maybe.
only, but also like writers get so emotional about their work. I know
Mhm.
I'm one of them. And when you're editing, you have to just kind of be straight to the point. Like, girl, I realize that it took you a month and a half to write this beautiful paragraph. However, it is clogging your story. So the whole thing has to come out. I don't want to have those kind of conversations. So
Yes.
I
She's
don't
right.
know. And there was somebody who reached out and I did you see that, Yvonne? There was somebody who
Yeah.
reached out in our comment section and was like, who asked if we would be interested in editing, like if they could send us pages.
And here?
He took it. No, 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 no. This was like
Oh,
this was the last live we had on my
I did
channel.
not see that. No.
Yeah, and he took it down. He was like, "If you don't respond to this in 24 hours, I'll understand. I'm just gonna take it down." I was typing out a reply, but no.
No man, and it was a man. No, 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 sir, no,
Look,
sir.
I'm embracing that this is a sisters only space.
Yes,
And
no,
the
sir.
sisters and the sisters have varying views about the brothers.
I love them. Listen, but I can't. No, I'm not. You get pushback. You get pushback. You're going to get pushback. People,
Yeah.
what did Erica Badu say? Artists are sensitive about their ish, right? So
Yes.
I hate editing, right? I think I'm the best, right? You can't tell me, but I know I'm gonna have to go through an editing process. A lot of beginning writers don't really understand what editing is. Not proofreading. It's not going over period. Well, it can be, but it's not just going over periods and sentence structure. It is in depth editing, right? Does this work? Is your character development? Is your story arc there? All of that. And you know, you have to get people accustomed to feedback, basically,
Mm-hmm.
to interpreting feedback and to work with, back and forth editing process. So all that to say, Keyoka is right. It is hard.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get better, you have to go through it. So
Yeah.
A book has a page, maybe 2 pages to sell me. I'm gonna know if I'm gonna finish this book or this book needs to stay on the shelf because it would just be another in my stack beside my
yeah.
my nightstand. And I
And that's
appreciate
another thing. Like when you said
good
you could,
editors.
I would have put it down. That first book, I would have put it down too. I would have put it down too. Not because of the,
So now the book club is us making you read.
but it's making me finish the book, right?
Exactly. And
Making me finish the book to
hey,
get
peer
it.
pressure. It's
Yeah,
it's worked in a variety of ways. It helped me to finish that book. And
yeah,
I did find some value. I was able to find value in it. But I think a lot of the value for me came, even if I felt like I was white knuckling it in the beginning, like coming back to the
yeah,
group and feeling validated that other people struggled, but that there were other aspects that got to be open to me,
right.
when I'm looking at it from different perspectives. So I I think being a part of a book club, if you're a writer, may give you a little bit of an ear of why your editor is telling you what giving you that feedback about story arc and things like that.
Well, and then it's also about being able to answer why you were white knuckling it, right? So like, why did you not enjoy it? And then how do you take that information and apply it to your story?
Right.
Whatever you didn't like about this book, be able to articulate that so you don't do it in your own writing.
Right. But just like she said, just like Dee was saying, like you might, something I might have missed or didn't appreciate, someone else may have got and can explain it, or lay it out so that you can, even if you don't agree with it, you can relate to it, or you can say, oh, okay, that's why that was, like this, or that's why, it's always good to get other cooks, right, in the kitchen, right? Everybody doesn't have the same flavor palette. So, you see my metaphor? You see what I did there?
I like it.
Have the same flavor, palette. So you always want, somebody to come in and say, no, it needs a little bit more salt, or no, it can use this, or it's good. So, all of that.
And then it's also, we're choosing books you probably wouldn't have chosen for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And like you said, you would have put it down. So now you can say, I read this book and I know I don't like it for sure.
Like before Keyoka, before she came on, we were talking about like it's the yin and yang. First of all, it's intergenerational, right? It's different generations in the group, in the members, right? But we also have different palettes. I'm more of a literary fiction girl. Like I like my stuff deep with layers. Some people may like lighter stuff. Some people may like commercial fiction. So, we have a mix of different interests. And, people suggest books that I may not pick out, but I'm going to read it to see if I'm missing something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to continue to say Read and Wander Book Club. You can join on Facebook. The book club, that's where we nominate the books for the next month. That's where we know which of the channels to watch for the discussion.
The next book we're reading is Keyoka.
It's on my channel.
It's on Keyoka's channel, but what's the book?
Oh, The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest.
And I will be doing the mocktail recipe for.
Okay.
I will do the mocktail recipe for our drink of choice for Keyoka's discussion on her channel. So if y'all want to get in on the fun, we have fun, we laugh, we think, and really look to interpret what is being shared by the author, and what did I take back just from my own lived experience that helped to see a different perspective. There is a lot of respect. There's only respect in this group. It's okay to not like a thing. It is okay, but we speak respectfully of the authors, and we speak respectfully to each other for our different perspectives.
We respectfully disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah. Yes. And Keyoka, you said something. Oh, go ahead.
I said we listen and we don't judge.
Yes.
There you go. We listen. We don't judge.
Yes. And if you would like to see some of the we do have 3 lives that you can check out. The last one was Parable of the Sower. That discussion was great. That's on my channel, Yvonne McBride Lit Life. The one before that was Black Girl in Paris. It was on Keyoka's channel. So check out the chats.
Yeah. I'll make sure that I add those to the description as well, y'all. So I wanted to say also that the group, I'm not being triggered. Thank you, Keyoka, for saying that about the books, that the books that are selected are not triggering from a cultural perspective. If you read in Color Purple, you're going to be triggered.
Listen, we not reading
content. Okay. But I'm saying what I'm saying is that the many of the things that we battle with culturally,
Yeah.
these books are from our perspective as Black people, and so I feel safer in those spaces.
And we
I've
can feel
been a part.
if you don't, it's a safe space to talk about it, right? So, like some things in Parable may have come up, but it was a safe space to talk about it. Even some
Yes.
things when we were talking about Black Girl in Paris, and her getting loose in the streets in Paris, and what that may have contributed to, or any of that. It was a
Mm-hmm.
safe space for because it's just us talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to say too that if you are a member of the book club, you're welcome to get up on the stage and chat with us. You can join the live and be on camera and let your opinion be heard.
Yes. If you have, especially if you have strong, as Dee did, she had strong opinions.
It wasn't me alone. Adelia had strong
Yes,
opinions as well.
yes, we always want all the perspectives are appreciated. So I hope you all join us. We have a good time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, thanks everybody for joining us today. We are celebrating Black Women's Writers Week. It's the first annual. I am glad to know two writers who are leading the book club that I love and enjoy being a part of. On Thursday, we're going to talk to more writers um, in celebration of Black Women's Writers Week. I'm grateful to have safe spaces to better understand my experience and to have a sisterhood around something that kind of was a little shameful when I was growing up. I was kind of the nerd. I would prefer to sit and read than to be social. Books are now my path to being social, to connecting with other people, and learning and growing in a space with others. So I appreciate you both for joining today. Y'all, please make sure that you go and subscribe to Awkward Black Nomad and to Yvonne McBride Lit Life. Their channels are also in the description. And we will see you next time. Bye
Thanks,
for now,
Dee.
folks.
See you guys.